Welcome to Down Syndrome Out Loud, superstars from the new book, Speak Up. Woohoo! I am Melissa Hart, all the way from Eugene, Oregon. I'm a journalist, a disability journalist, and an author. I'm the author of Down Syndrome Out Loud, 20 Stories of Disability and Determination, published on June 3rd by Source Books, a lovely publisher. I have no idea where they're based. And these 5, as well as 17 other people, were crucial in putting this book together, and we're lucky enough to get to hear from them today. So we have Abigail Adams. Will you raise your hand? Allison Fogarty. Zach Gottsagen. Charlotte Woodward. And Kayla McKeon. So again, I'm Melissa Hart. The reason I wrote this book is that I grew up with a younger brother who has Down syndrome. Mark is his name. He was born in Southern California in 1975. And when Mark was born, just as some of you might be familiar, pediatricians told my parents, Mark will never be able to read or write. You should just put him in an institution. He'll never amount to anything. My mom responded by saying, over my dead body. And she, this was 1975. Those of you who know your history know that Willowbrook State Institution in Staten Island had only just been the subject of a big muckraking article by a young journalist named Geraldo Rivera, who discovered that people with Down syndrome were just being institutionalized and shoved in rooms all day, every day, with no school, no education, no careers, no contact with their families. It was deplorable. So my mom was a visionary. She proceeded to raise my brother exactly like she raised me. So if we did our chores, we got a gold star and we got to go to Baskin-Robbins for ice cream. If we decided we were going to teach our cat to fly, we both got a spanking. My butt still hurts. I think I started becoming a disability journalist because I wanted to tell the stories of people like my brother. We grew up without a single book to represent him or our family. And, you know, there really weren't almost any books about or by people with Down syndrome until relatively recently, the last 10 or 15 years. And so I wanted to write Down syndrome out loud to highlight the challenges, successes, accomplishments of people with this genetic condition. And I ended up interviewing 22 people from all over the world, including the people you see here. So, without further ado, oh, that's my brother. I forgot this slide was in here. This is me with my brother Mark. I'll tell you a really quick, funny story. Everybody in this book has an illustration by our phenomenal illustrator, Spanish artist Maria Pereira. And the illustration process looked like this. Each person sent in a photo. Maria did an illustration. Then we sent back the illustrations to each person to make sure they were absolutely happy with it. Zach, I know that your mom said Zach's eyes are bluer than that. And so Maria came back and made Zach's eyes bluer. Somebody else's parents, I think in Georgia, said, my son's face is thinner than that. So Maria went back and made Michael's face thinner. In my case, this is not the original illustration. She made me look initially like I was 18 years old. And I had to say, Maria, you got to give me some wrinkles or the crowd is going to be disappointed when they see me in person. So she gave me some wrinkles. And that's my brother, Mark. So here are a couple pages from Down Syndrome Out Loud. We were trying for as much diversity as possible. Racial diversity, ethnic diversity, diversity of location in the United States, highly verbal people, people who prefer not to talk but instead express their emotions through dance or art or math or something else like that. So that's Alex Lee, and this is AC Heigl, a cheerleader who graduated from George Mason University, and a couple of other people. Some of you might recognize John Tucker from Born This Way, and Canadian ice dancer Meg Osada. And I would like to start with a question for Charlotte Woodward. Here is her page. And Charlotte, what would you like people in the audience to know about your childhood and your adulthood as well?
Well, first of all, I love my life. I love having Down syndrome. And I would have changed it for the world. Too often, people with Down syndrome and those with other disabilities have had to face discrimination, exclusion, and worse. I am an example of what can happen when people have high expectations for people with Down syndrome and those with other disabilities. When I was born, doctors told my mom that I would never learn to read or write, and that when I was older, I would work in a sheltered workshop where people with disabilities work for sub-minimum wage. I am proud to say that I have proved those doctors wrong, and it is all thanks to my mom, who's right here in the audience. Who stood up for my rights and instilled a love of learning in me. I would like to say that I started learning to read and write when I was 3.5 years old. Discrimination and exclusion does not equal inclusion. We all do better when people with disabilities are included if they are given the opportunity to do so.
Thank you, Charlotte. Abigail, what would you like people to know about your childhood and adulthood?
Well, I had really terrible acid reflux, so the doctors had to put me on a feeding tube. And acid reflux was different compared to low tone. I think low tone is different compared to acid reflux in my stomach. So low tone reacts differently. It means I couldn't, when I was on the feeding tube, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't crawl, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat the right way. So for low tone, it makes me chubby. So the outcome of that is really hard, but I said to myself, I can do this. And I know low tone says otherwise. It means my muscles are weaker, making it difficult to do physical things.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And I don't. Okay, I'm gonna say that. As my adult, I am so proud I have accomplished in my childhood, and I'm so very proud of it. And I'm so very proud of it. If I had so many obstacles that I overcome.
Thank you so much. Kayla, what would you like the crowd to know about your childhood and adulthood?
Thank you, Melissa. And good morning. My name is Kayla McEwen, and I live in Syracuse, New York. And as far as my community, I am very involved in my community as well as my church community. I am an avid reader, and I can read a book a week if I set my mind to it.
Woo!
Thank you. I am very involved in Special Olympics. I have traveled to Athens, Greece, and actually right here in Orlando, Florida, where I played bocce and I medaled in both. Very cool.
Wow.
But as far as my adulthood is concerned, well, not are concerned, I lived with my parents, Patty and Mark McEwen, and our dog Bella. And as far as my adulthood and when I was a child, they would treat me just like every other child. I got punished, and rightfully so, at that age. But I wouldn't be where I am today or the woman I have become. Because of that, it has made a difference. And speaking of a difference, that's why we are here on this panel. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. I'm going to get my exercise today. Allison Fogarty, what do you want this lovely crowd to know about your childhood and adulthood?
I was very sick for most of my life. I was born with tracheoesophageal fistula and laryngeal cleft. I had a trach to help me breathe for 23 years. I had a G-tube in my stomach from when I was 11 years old to 13 years old.
Tell us about your adulthood. Tell us about you as an adult.
Oh, yeah. And I also have a job, and my company is called Doggy Delights by Allison, and I am a chef, and I have two sidekicks, my mom and my dad, and I'm 34 years old now, and anyway, it's been a long time, and I've been working it for 8 years.
And I am here to tell you that Allison is selling Doggy Delights in the fair, and I bought 3 bags because my terrier, April, loves peanut butter Doggy Delights. Zach Gottsagen, what do you want the crowd to know about your childhood and adulthood?
I am going to say, I would say about, my childhood. Actually, since I was 3 years old, I always tell my mom, what is my dream? I would say my dream is to be a very good actor. And that's why, because I have been on the couple of one of my schools, I always go to I would say from like block and middle school and high school, performing arts, and I do love studying a lot about theaters because all of my childhood, I always loved doing all the active activities and do a lot of thinking about what is my life. And but until then, and before I became the word adulthood, but for me, but actually I did finish school, but after that, but I had like so many jobs I always worked for, and but for me, but I did have a very great career. Jobs always gives me a lot of support, and I have been working so hard. But this is my dream right now. Is reality of my dream to be a regular actor, and now I have been starting right now for my future right now, and that's how I turn out, who I am.
That was marvelous. So, Charlotte, my next question is for you. You graduated from George Mason University with a degree in sociology, graduated magna cum laude with a degree in sociology with a concentration on inequity and social change. Do I have that right? Inequality and social change. I'm curious about what challenges you had at George Mason University and what advice you might have for people in the audience who also want to attend university.
Well, first of all, what Melissa Hart really means is summa cum laude.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry.
So, I don't feel that I really had any challenges when I was a student at George Mason University. I used the campus disability services department and was given accommodations that I could access to help me be successful. Some of the accommodations I used were extra time on exams, a recording pen, and sometimes preferential seating if a seat in front of the classroom was open. Mostly it was not, but sometimes there was. I didn't always need to use these accommodations. They're just there in case I felt that I needed them. My advice for students who want to go to college is to make that desire known early so that you can get access to the general education curriculum and can fulfill all of the academic requirements that are needed to apply to college. You should also attend your individualized education plan meetings and make sure that your dream of going to college is included on your IEP. You should look into colleges and universities to explore what they have to offer and to figure out what you would like to study and which schools you would like to apply to. Most importantly, never, ever give up on your dreams.
I am so sorry I mispronounced those honors. It's because I graduated with no honors at all. In creative writing. Okay. Abigail, you are more commonly known far and wide as Abigail the Advocate. How can being an advocate help people's lives?
It allows me to inspire and motivate others to reach their dreams and overcome their own struggles.
Do you have any tips for people who would like to start being a public advocate, but they have stage fright?
My advice is to be confident and believe in yourself.
Kayla, next question for you. As a U.S. congressional lobbyist, how do you spend your days on Capitol Hill?
Thank you. And so I failed to mention that I am a motivational speaker as well. And as for going into regular scheduled meetings with members of Congress, I walk into my scheduled meetings with my head held high and ready to get down to business.
Yeah.
I love walking the same halls as them as well. And as far as meeting with your representative, yes, it is important. But it's also important to meet with those samples. It's just as fun and also very important. And this is where we go talk to them about our unique story. Because when we talk to members of Congress, we are making a difference in the differently abled world. Where when they go to remember us, when they go to the floor to vote, it is your story that they will remember. So hopefully they remember our faces when they go to the floor to cast their vote. And hopefully that makes the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. And just a reminder, at 11:30, this same panel is going to be talking about how to share your story in a variety of ways to help change public policy. Yeah, thank you. Allison, tell us, how did you come to bake dog treats on television with famed chef Rachel Ray?
How do you like them apples? When I couldn't eat or drink, I always watched Rachel Ray. It felt like she saved my life. She was my hero, and I wanted to be a chef like her. After I started my business, I got sick and was in the hospital watching Rachel Ray. Of course, the TV said, if you want to be on the show, email the studio with your story. I said, Mom, you have to do that. She did, and 1 year later, they called me up and invited me first. We did FaceTime, and then she invited me on the show to make dog treats with her. It was awesome.
And Allison and I were just doing a bit of television in Portland, Oregon. What was that, last weekend? Yeah. And you said on TV that Rachel Ray tried one of your dog treats and loved it. Okay.
It's very funny that when I was on Rachel Ray's show, it's funny that my mom forgot to say the word parsley because that's ingredient that I used in my sweet potato treats. And she forgot to say that to the people who works with Rachel Ray, and she's like, oh my God, really? That is so weird.
So if anybody gets hungry between sessions and you're tired of hot dogs, peanut butter dog treats, I'm telling you what. Zach, you are, I think, best known for your starring role in The Peanut Butter Falcon. Hey, Zach, what's the first rule? What's the first rule?
Rule number one is party.
Will you tell us what you're working on now?
Actually, I am working right now for like so many movies to be like 4 and 5 films going on, and I might do much more coming up, and I always do all the great things. So yeah, and I would say about one of my favorite of the peanut butter falcon. I would say actually super my favorite part is just to be with my cast to do water buckshot, and I did my own stunts. And, 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 and I have been doing cornfield with Shia LaBeouf. And for my dancing with beautiful, I would say very beautiful person. The whole world is Dakota Johnson. And I do like to act with Bruce Stern, Tommen Headed Shirts, Yellow Wolf, John Hawks, and all the great of the WWE of, I would say, Mick Foley, Snake Roberts, and I do love showing that film to be in the ring, and for me, I just felt good about it, and I do love acting with all of my cast, and they are so totally amazing with me, and I am felt good, and I just felt confidence for all of my moments to be with them. And I still always love them, but they always be in my heart to me. And but just so you know, but I will say about on next month there is going to be reunion of the Peanut Butter Falcon, so that's why I'm going to Chicago.
And Zach and actress Jamie Brewer and actor-rapper John Tucker and I were just at the Down Syndrome International Film Festival in Palm Springs a few weeks ago, and I got to see 2 of Zach's maybe lesser-known films. Write these down. One is an absolutely charming short film called At Last, and he has a knockout role in that film. And the other is a big, exuberant film called God Save the Queens. And it'll just make you so happy.
So we did show it of the music video
right.
called What Is Done Is Done
Yeah.
from the Delta Spirit.
Delta Spirit, a band, made a music video with Zach and Jamie that you must see. You can find it online anywhere. Delta Spirit, What's Done Is Done. It will make you cry. Charlotte. YouTube, yes. You are the inspiration for a bill called the Charlotte Woodward Organ Transplant Discrimination Prevention Act. Will you tell us what inspired your involvement, as well as what is happening with that bill right now and how we can help get it passed?
So not only was I born with Down syndrome, I was also born with a significant heart condition. This is common. Approximately 50% of babies who are born with Down syndrome are also born with some sort of heart condition. I had 4 open heart surgeries to try to fix things. 3 when I was a baby and 1 when I was 10 years old. As I grew, my heart struggled to support my body. As the struggle worsened, my cardiologist determined that there was nothing more that they could do and that could be done surgically to help me, and that I was in dire need of a life-saving heart transplant. My transplant team could have denied me the opportunity to have a heart transplant, which would have led to devastating consequences for me. Thankfully, my doctors looked beyond my Down syndrome diagnosis and recognized my inherent value and worth, for which I am very grateful. I am honored to say that I got my new heart on January 30th, 2012, and have been healthy ever since. Too often, people with disabilities are denied life-saving organ transplants because of institutional bias, prejudice, discrimination in the medical field against people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and other disability conditions. Shortly after I began working at the National Down Syndrome Society, NDSS was contacted by a family who had recently been told that their son was being denied a life-saving kidney transplant, all because he had been born with Down syndrome. NDSS worked hard to bring attention to this case, and fortunately, the young man ultimately did receive a new kidney. But learning about this injustice, which was the opposite of my experience, made me want to challenge this inequality after I had to deal with my emotions. I am so thankful that my doctor looked beyond my Down syndrome diagnosis and saw me for who I am, someone who is deserving of the same opportunity for a life-saving organ transplant, just like anyone else.
Yeah.
And advocated for my right to be considered for a transplant, just like anyone else. This inequality is what, quote unquote, inspired me. As I learned more about the issue, I became determined and dedicated to work towards ensuring that right for everyone with Down syndrome and those with other intellectual and developmental disabilities. With the result being that there is now federal legislation before the United States Senate and House of Representatives that bears my name, the Charlotte Woodward Organ Transplant Discrimination Prevention Act. My bill was introduced into the United States House of Representatives in February, and in April it was voted on and passed by the House Energy and Commerce committee. It has now been given to the full House and will hopefully be voted on sometime this summer. Several weeks ago, my bill was introduced into the United States Senate, where it will be voted on and passed out of committee, to then be voted on by the full Senate. Once it is passed both the House and the Senate, it is off to the President's desk to be signed into law. I urge you to call your representatives and senators and ask them to vote yes on my bill. You can do so by calling or writing to your legislators or by filling out an action alert on my bill, which can be found at the National Down Syndrome Society's website at ndss.org. You can also sign up to become a DS ambassador as part of a program through NDSS, where self-advocates, parents, caregivers, etc., advocate for the passage of disability rights legislation as well as other opportunities to do so.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Abigail, I forgot to tell you that Abigail is the first woman with Down syndrome to complete a sanctioned sprint triathlon. And if you caught her presentation yesterday, you got to see some of that on TikTok. It was remarkable, really. Abigail is an athlete and a model and an entrepreneur and an activist, advocate, public speaker, and now, am I allowed to say it? A movie actress. What can you tell us about the film that you're about to be in? What is it about, and what is your role?
Okay. It's a boy trying to impress a girl that he likes in his class, but he couldn't do it without my help. But I can tell you which role I played. The owner's daughter of the movie called The Thrift Store.
All right. That is so exciting. So the movie is called The Thrift Store. You have a big role. And does it come out in 2027? Or 20, where's Steve? 2020? In the next year. All right, thank you. Hi, Kayla. You're really far from that podium. Kayla, you are working so hard on so many issues all the time. What issue right now affecting people with Down syndrome do you find to be the most crucial?
There are a couple of legislation priorities that we are currently working on and advocating on. One of them is the Asset Savings Penalty Elimination Prevention Act, and that encompasses if two individuals individuals with disabilities, decide to get married. Apparently you cannot have it both ways. It's either marrying the person you love or keeping very crucial benefits like Medicaid and Medicare today. And if you do get married, both incomes will combine and both of you will lose your benefits and you will lose, I believe, $3,000 to their name. Don't quote me on numbers. But that's one of the top priorities we are currently working on, as well as the Transformation to Competitive and Integrated Employment Act. This also encompasses a sub-minimum wage bill that people today, like the panel, will be paid 3 cents an hour. So literally pennies on the hour. So we want equal pay for equal work. So that, yeah, thank you. We all want the American dream, but another bit of a law will currently have a piece of legislation we're currently working on is purple alerts. So let's say an individual, a son or a daughter to the caregiver goes missing, you would raise a purple alert. But let me back it up for a second. Because if you are 65 and older, they will qualify for a silver alert. If you're 17 and younger, they will put you in a amber alert. So with a purple alert and with my parents, they would raise an alert saying, I'm looking for my child. And that will alert the police, and they will help you find your missing loved one. Because we're also working on testimonies around that particular bill that we want to find your missing loved one with a disability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's really bouncy. It's kind of fun. Raise your hand if you like jokes. This one. Allison Fogarty has one of the best TikTok channels I have ever seen. You tell a joke every single day. I don't know how you come up with them, but you gotta follow Doggy Delights by Allison on TikTok and Instagram, right? For fantastic jokes. My question for you, and you can tell us one of those jokes if you'd like. My big question for you is, what does your day-to-day life look like as a professional dog treat chef? Oh, what does your life look like day to day as a professional dog treat chef?
Every morning, I wake up and check my phone for orders. I fill my orders and then get my ingredients ready in an assembly line and start mixing my batter. After I mix my batches, it could be 3 or 4 or 5 or even up to 8 batches. Then my side kicks and I put the batter into the molds. That is not my favorite part. Then we bake and freeze, and then freeze dry the treats. It is a lot of work, but I love it. I love when I meet dogs and they love my treats. I have a joke for you guys. What do you call What do you call a fairy that never takes a bath? Do you guys give up? Tinkerbell.
Every day on TikTok. Zach, so we have about 10 minutes left. I forgot to tell you that our book is on sale right outside. Everybody here is going to sign it for you. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right? So before we do that, though, Zach, I have a question for you, and then we'll do a quick Q&A. What advice do you have for people in the audience who really want to get started with an acting career?
I would say stay in school and just keep on study about theaters, but just do it what you believe in yourself, how you could be a very good actor, but this I would say I'm gonna say 2 words. Follow your heart, follow your dreams, and go big. Then but you could find, I would say, to find the right moment, and in this, share it with your family or your kids could learn how to be, actor, dancer, singer, or to be in the band, or to be a very good artist. But just find your passion comes to you. Just stay in school and study, and just find something what you are very good at something, and then you be 100% of the great opportunity to help those, I want to say, to help those people to find a really good school and just find what you, believe and be yourself and never change a thing.
Yeah. But Zach is being modest because you attended the School of the Arts, the Dreyfus School of the Arts, right? Exactly, which you can read about in the book, and also has a really good agent, I believe, and a manager, and probably would be willing to talk about those things with you after this. Who has a question for any of these panelists? Oh, way over there. Way over there. I'll repeat it. A question for Zach. Have you ever had a chance to work with David Hasselhoff from Knight Rider? Oh, and the beach thing.
Actually, I do love working with him because for him, he is so amazing actor, and he always knows what to do, and I always love to go for all of my lines with him and just doing what I do. Believe that because I know about my story with him. It will be a really good movie about it, but it's gonna be great. And except the beach thing, you'll be so beautiful place, and you'll be towards paradise.
Other questions? Way back there in the green shirt. Okay. Party. Abigail, what is your favorite romantic movie?
Well, I do like Christmas romantic movies, and also I do watch non-romantic murder mysteries. No, it's I think it's a mixture of romance and a storyline.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. We have time for two more. Yes, two more questions. You in the pink. Oh, okay. So all of the people in this group, do you have any tips for remembering lines in a script? Raise your hand if you have a good tip. Tell us, Allison.
The movie that I always say all the time is Dream Big. And that's where I got that from Hairspray.
I'm going to ask Charlotte that question. Charlotte, what are your tips for remembering lines of a speech you have to give?
Well, it actually doesn't really matter whether it's in a script or in a speech. I would say highlight keywords and phrases, maybe even underline. In other words, it's like when you're in high school and college, it all comes down to great study habits. So I would say, like, so I would say, like, cue cards, highlighters, underlining, having someone to be your listener, like someone to hear your speech or script out loud and have them provide feedback, etc.
And Kayla, to piggyback on that, what are your techniques for remembering lines in a script or a speech?
Sure. I have mentors and a circle of support. So when I go to give a speech, I would always practice beforehand, making sure it flows. And I like doing it with my parents because their feedback is important to me. And to my mentors, I feel like it's really important to make sure I am slow, that people can understand me. That way my message is loud and clear. Thank you.
All right, I am sure that everybody here would love to answer the rest of your questions in the back while they're signing books, so come on and talk to them. Thank you so much for being here, and come see us at 11:30.